Hey everybody, welcome to this episode on one of my favorite subjects, and I know it's one of Elle's too. We're gonna talk about kicking our excuses to the curb, and actually, even more than that, just understanding excuses, right? Instead of just rejecting this thing of like, why do I always keep making excuses? Why do I keep caving on my goals? It's like, let's actually dig into the psychology of that. So I'm gonna let Elle start a little bit. Elle, can you tell me some things that you've learned about excuse making, both in yourself and in your coaching, and like digging a little deeper into the psyche of excuses?
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm sure I've made them, you've made them in life, and then we learned what we learned about creating our own reality and putting forth with intention. And so now we have, different mindsets where we're probably less likely to do that, or when we do, we catch ourselves. But, I guess when I think about this, I think of the general notion of like, really, you got a dream out there, you're going to let just fucking die? You're going to let that dream
Hmm.
die. And I'm telling you this from, I don't care if it's a woman I've known for 20 years who's in a terrible sexless marriage, but they're friends and the excuses are always, I'll tell you the excuse on that one. For example, it was, well, the thing is like, I know they're not for me, but my biggest fear is being alone. And I'm like, well, you're already not alone. And you still want something else, right? So your
Right.
biggest fear is already there. You're not alone. You actually have a husband, but you don't want to be with them, right?
Right.
And this, again, that's an excuse. Like it's a future fear, a fear of not getting what you want. So you're going to settle for less. So that's one kind of way to do excuses. You and I also know the exercise excuse or the health excuses that come up. But I would just say, like, there's so many excuses about, like, well, I'm too old. The biggest one is, I don't see how it's going to happen, right? And we both know that the how is not how you have to do it. You have to pursue it anyway. Like I have a friend who really wants to expand her singing, but like she's older. She's not looking to be an American Idol. She's not looking to be like a pop singer, but she's just really interested in it. So instead of just looking at it like, well, how do I make money at it? Which, she could, she's like, I'm just going to do it because it's fun and I love it. And when you do that and you take that you move step forward, something's going to fall in line that's going to make something juicy out of this dream, whatever it is.
That's exactly right. I have on the screen background of my phone an image that says, what if it turns out better than you could have possibly imagined? And every single time I feel fears come up, because I really believe that excuses are just confirmations of our fears. Every single time it comes up, it's like, oh, yep, that's what I'm afraid of. Got it. Thank you, excuse, for popping in my head so I can see that. And so when that pops up, I'm like, I can't do that because of blah, 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 blah. It's like, what if it turns out better than you could have possibly imagined? Keeping that mindset in place. For
And it
me,
usually
like,
does. It usually turns out better than you
it
could have
usually
imagined.
does. I always say that everything we want is on the other side of our fears. That's why we don't have it yet. There's like this Berlin Wall, and it's called your fear. And everything you want on the other side of that wall is magical life of your dreams, right? And the reason you haven't gotten over there yet is because you're afraid of this wall that doesn't even exist. I think for me, this is one of the reasons I love health and fitness so much is because you learn so many personal development lessons like this when you go through a transformation in your body. So anybody who's gone through a big body transformation or who wants to go through a big body transformation, you have either learned or you are going to learn some of the most deep lessons of personal development that there are. And one of those for me was learning that there's two things that will just crush excuses and just send them flying to it's like they can't even become a thought almost. And that is, where is your heart? What do you want in your heart? And on the both sides of that, there's two very powerful motivators. One is actually fear, something you're running from. Fear can be a motivator. You can use that. People have used that to get them to great heights in life. And I have, and I'll tell you my story a little bit. And the other one is having a fear of a pain so big that you are running from that thing and you will get, let's say somebody told you that your kid would just got in an accident and they're in the hospital. Like you are so afraid you will do anything to get to that hospital.
You lift a
Anything.
car,
You
right?
will lift exactly. You
Yeah.
will do anything. Excuses, excuse me. I don't care what I have to do. I'm getting to that freaking hospital, right? So when there's a fear of a pain so big that it would be unwithstandable, or whatever the word is, if you couldn't even stand it, you will get to where you want to go. The other thing is if the reward is so big, the perceived reward is so big, that moment when you're sitting there around, everyone's eating candy and popcorn on Friday night movie night, and they've all got their bowls of ice cream, and you have in your head, you have envisioned this reward that is so incredible. Maybe that for you is you are going to be some Instagram star and you're going to speak all over the world about fitness or whatever. And you've got that vision in your head, like you've actually sat down and done the work of visualization. I'm such a fan. I did this. I did do this.
I did too. I still have that vision board right here, and on it is stuff that has come true that I put on there 7 years ago, and it's still there. And I looked at it the other day, and I was like, "Oh shit, yeah!" I mean, it's amazing.
It's so powerful. It's sometimes I have these moments now where I am living the result. I am living the dream that I envisioned a long time ago, and I'm like, I saw this. And the amount of self-confidence that it breeds when you actually actualize those visualizations is incredible. So for me, I guess I'll dive right in. I think sometimes we can have unhealthy motivations that can actually transform us into a healthy place if we're willing to do our work along the way.
Give me an example.
An example is, a lot of these really super successful personal development guys got into the place where they're at because they had to prove to somebody that they could do it. Somebody didn't believe in them. Their dad didn't believe in them, or their home life was a mess growing up, or they had a nasty divorce and their ex-wife told them they were, just full of crap and full of these stupid dreams and they could never do it. Like that was an unhealthy motivation. But it got them to a certain place. And I think sometimes we have these on purpose. Life gifts us these things so that we can push ourselves.
And I talk about it in Confident as Fuck, which is, it's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself awesome. But those motivators can be great because it's like, instead of like allowing that to sink in as a hit, as a downer, like they don't believe in me. It's like, oh yeah, watch. MFer. I would like everyone to get that because that is so confident. Again, it seems like you're trying to prove a point. There's a little bit of that with ego in there, but sometimes that fuels you. We still are in these meat suits. Let that fuel you because I think that's a great motivator. And so many people, like you said, have gotten there because someone told them they couldn't do it. Listen, my grandmother, who was amazing. I mean, her father used to sit there and say, get your head out of the books. And get into the kitchen. No one's going to want a woman who, reads books and all this kind of stuff, said women shouldn't have an education. And she was like, oh, really?
Wow.
Watch this, mother effer. And she went to go become, her goal was to become the first Supreme Court justice who was female, but she ended up actually being the youngest female attorney in the state of Illinois, and she helped get women allowed on juries because they could get a law degree, but they couldn't even sit on a jury. So again, that's the kind of thing where she was like, and that was her father. She was like, all right, yeah, well, guess what? F you, watch this, and so, hey, man, look at what she did. And she inspired me and everyone else and was like an awesome woman, a powerful woman who made change in this world because she was fueled by an unhealthy motivation.
That's right. Watch this, mother effer. That's going to be my new internal self-talk for now. Watch this, mother effer. I can do it. And I remember feeling like that. When I was getting in shape. I was like, nobody knows. It's this silent hustle. I got a surprise for all y'all coming. I am in here getting work done. Right. And it was kind of this, watch this, mother effer. I got it going on. So it wasn't, even though, yes, at the time, was that the most healthy motivation in the world? No. But did it work? Did it get me there? Yes. And was I open to healing along the way? I think that's what's so key is like be open to new things. But sometimes that you running from that pain of she's like, I am not going to be a woman who just sits in the kitchen all day. Like F you. No, thank you. I will show you like that. Like allow that. Maybe that happened in your life for a reason to really kick your butt into high gear and get you to do something, So I think sometimes these pains in our lives and these fears that we have, they can be a gift if we allow them to motivate us to get the freaking job done and send us on our path of fulfillment.
And you just have to take a little step, right? So again, it's not seeing the whole road. And, we might have talked about this last time or in general where, look, when my hands got disabled and then I had like hypothyroidism, I was fat and bloated and a mess and I was like an actor and I was like, all right, I went back to do sketch comedy, which is something that like no one really makes money at. It's not like something you foresee. I mean, you might say, right. Oh, well, if I'm a sketch comedian, people, then they'll hire me for sitcoms. Totally. But right. I did it because I needed to laugh. I needed to do something in pursuit of this
Yeah.
acting career. And it turned me into a writer that led me to where I am today because I
So
did
awesome.
something and jumped back into something I loved that I knew I could do. And again, I didn't say, well, how am I going to make, I didn't know that it was going to lead to all of these other things, which it totally led to. So that's why because again, you're still back at square one then if you don't take a step forward. So, like, let's say you want to be a singer. Great. Don't try out for American Idol tomorrow. Go take a singing class. Maybe get on a forum with 3 people that are doing singing with each other every week. But just do it. Do something towards it. Or alone in your room watching YouTube. But express yourself because no matter what it is, right? Take one step because you never know then.
So what helped you get over the excuses right there? Because you're like, okay, I'm going to go do sketch comedy. And then here come all the excuses. Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make money. It's like, yeah, there's this one kind of good thing. But like, what helped? Like, what do you think actually drove you to follow through with that?
I did have people say things like, when are you going to just like give up on that? When like, when are you going to realize, like, not saying, well, actually they said it in a different way. It would be more of like well, like at what point when you don't make money at it are you going to decide to drop it? Right? And so I did get some negative naysayers.
Dream cell?
Right. And I was like, mother effer, like, because in my book you'll read, right? If you guys haven't and you're out there, read my book, Confident as Fuck. I take that as a great, like, you just lifted me up to great heights because watch me now.
Watch this, mother effer.
Watch this, mother effer. And it really turned into something. By the way, those people are all like, by the way, anytime they say anything negative to me, those same people, some of them are my family, I turn to them and I go, hey, how'd that work out for you on A, B, and C? How about you shut it? Because clearly the decisions I've made in my life are going pretty well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And did you have that end vision? Did you kind of knew deep in your heart that the sketch comedy would...
Had no idea.
Had no idea.
I had no idea. I just did it because I was like, all right, well... Now I'm fat. I mean, not now, but like, when I was hypothyroid then and I didn't know what was wrong with me, I'm like, okay, now I'm super fat and I'm probably not going to go out for the leading role. So let me go back into comedy, which is something I used to do because A, it'll fuel my soul. Like I need to laugh. I'm depressed. I'm a fat mess and I'm depressed. My hair's falling out, like all this mess. And so I was like, I need the laughter. I need something in my life to look forward to. And I also thought, well, you know what? Okay, maybe I can't be the ingenue, but maybe I'll be the fat, funny friend. Now, okay, I know that's like, it was kind of like relegating myself to something. But in that process, I became a full-blown, TV film writer and then led to having confidence to pursue book writing. And again, this never would have happened had I not been writing 3-4 page sketches and performing them every night and doing all this stuff. I never would have thought that I would even be a writer. I was just doing it to have fun performing and like give something happy in my life. You know what I mean? Because I was the rest of my day was so horrible. I just wanted, so again, it was me just seeking out like, well, this is something I can do and maybe it will lead into roles and maybe they'll be the fat, funny friend, but okay, but I need something to light up my life. And I just did it. I got back into something that I did love, but I thought I was maybe over. And again, it led to so many wonderful things that I could have never predicted. It was way better than I could have planned. Way better.
Did you ever have like forget this moments in that journey where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, or it always brought you joy?
No, there were moments where you get burned out a little bit. Like, you do like 100 shows and then you're like, I can't even like watch SNL anymore because, it's sketch comedy. You're just like, I can't even look at sketch. You got to get, and then I jumped back into it a couple years later or whatever. But the truth is that, gosh, they gave me so much confidence in my writing, my comedy writing, my performing. And it also let me get on stage in front of people live. And now, of course, I'm a speaker. We do what we do. This was all training. It's funny because when I started this when Mark gave me the other podcast, the Primal Blueprint podcast, I thought, I've been preparing for this my whole life now. I've been preparing for this whole time. That stuff prepared me. I never get nervous in front of people. And again, being rattled on stage. So never could have thought that. But again, it led to so many wonderful things. But it just was in that moment to be like, well, this is what I can do now. And it's a happy thing. At least I'll be laughing. So let me just do something that's going to like fill my life a little bit. And that could be for someone out there right now who's got a full-time job with kids that they're like, I just wish I could do one thing. I don't care if that's like a hiking group. Maybe you need to meet more girlfriends. Right. Fear, false evidence appearing real. Love that, right? Because that's so true. And what about you? Because I bet you, especially when you're getting in the... I like that you were like, I'm brewing up a body in the background. Watch out, people, because I kind of like that you didn't go and share it with everybody. And I think that that's kind of an important part of this too. When you're stepping forward to your dreams, be careful so that you don't get dumped on by downers about it. Either share it with people that are anonymous, objective, or share it with people that are in your favor so that, or keep it quiet, right?
That's right.
Like I kept my last book quiet, not because Well, first of all, I didn't want everyone to jump up and then publish a book in 2 days about confidence because, you know, that can happen. People steal ideas. But the second part of it was that I didn't want anyone to be like, huh, really? Why are you? I just wanted to come out and be like, here it fucking is. Here it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Declare it. And that's probably how you were the body. Like, look at me. Like,
That's right. That's what, yeah, that brings me into the next point I wanted to talk about. And that's socially acceptable excuses, socially accepted or socially encouraged excuses. Because if you're right here at this baseline in your life and you're trying to go way high, like you're at the bottom of Everest and you're trying to get to the top, probably the people who you associate with right now in your life have never been to the top of Everest. And they probably don't want to, or two, don't believe that they can. And so when you are in that place, what I'm hearing from you was extreme confidence. People were like, hey, Elle, so like at what point do you give up on your dreams? Because like it doesn't make any sense. And you're like, I don't care. I'm doing this for me because I want to. Like that is the place that you have to get. And it is somewhat wise to keep it a little bit to yourself while you're on that journey, because if you're still fragile, it's almost like when you're healing from, trauma or something. People mean well, and they might give you this piece of advice that just is like, hey, well, maybe you shouldn't have been alone outside at night, like, and it's, whatever. Right. So just like when you're still fragile, right. So just like this with your dreams, they're still kind of fragile. You're still kind of like, can I freaking do this? Can I do it?
What about you? What about when you were, sorry to interrupt, but like, what about when you were before you even got divorced, before you decided to leave the religion, leave your marriage and like start a new life? Before you became no excuses, what were the excuses when dreams would come up? Or did you just not leave any room for dreams? Or did you have them and you would just go, oh...
Yeah, I did. And they just weren't logical. They didn't make sense. If I wrote down on papers like that doesn't really make sense right now. Okay, poof, gone. Right. And same thing with, really getting a fit body. It's like, I had all these caps. I had all these glass ceilings on myself. It was like, well, I mean, yeah, like you could maybe lose some weight, but like your legs are always going to look like that, or your butt's always going to look like that, or whatever. Right. So it was just these automatic caps that I had on what was possible.
That's another one. People saying like, well, I'm just big boned. Everyone in my, you know what? That's not really a thing. Right. But that's a fitness excuse for some people. Like, oh, everyone in my family, or these are my genetics, because because you've changed your body and I have mine. But like when you grow up or you're in this body for a while, you do think that there's no way that it could be different. It's truly hard to get over that kind of excuse.
Yeah. And then speaking of this, like social, the people around you in your life right now, they are probably not going to understand. So just like, if you have a big goal, just get ready for that. Just understand, like, it is your goal. It's not theirs. They don't have to jump on board with your goal and be like, yeah, go. They don't have to. That's not their responsibility, but it's your responsibility to stay focused and believe in yourself. So like for me, for example, I remember a really distinct moment that my ex-husband, who did not like all of my healthy new choices and lifestyle, it was annoying to him. He was like, I don't want all like turkey and cottage cheese and vegetables are the only food in our fridge. Like I want all my old normal food, which I understand. Like he wasn't on that same journey as me. But I remember him saying in frustration, what is your end goal here? Like, are you going to like compete in a bikini competition, or like, what are you doing? Like, what is the end goal? And I remember, I mean, it just hit me so hard because I was like, I don't have an end goal. Like, this is just my new life. Like, I love how I'm feeling. I love how I'm looking. I'm running the Boston Marathon. Like, this is so cool. Like, I love it. And I realized in that moment, I was like, okay, everyone around me is not only not going to understand, but it's not their job to. It's not their job to. And I think when we can get in that place, we can really hold tight to what's important to us inside of our heart. Because if we go around being like, hey, do you think this is a realistic goal for me? I'm going to try to be a millionaire by 2022. Like that sounds realistic, right? And you're working at as a secretary somewhere, plenty of people have done that. That is not that big of a goal. Surprise, that's not that big of a goal. But the people around you in your life are going to be like, oh, sweetheart, that's probably,
bless your heart,
bless your heart. Like, that's really cute. That's really cute. You think you're going to do that. So if you feel like you might be somewhat susceptible to what other people think, which we all are. But if you're like, if that's a comment like that's going to crush you, you may want to keep that crap to yourself and you write down those goals. You read Think and Grow Rich. You read, you listen all day. You become obsessive. You become obsessive. You listen to all the personal development. Everyone who's done what you want to do, you listen to how they think. You immerse your brain in that stuff and you will become like that and you will become like a fortress in your goals. But if you're not a fortress yet, in your goal setting, be careful with who you share it with because it understandably are not going to understand where you're coming from.
And sometimes people are jealous, right? Like if you want to get healthy, the unhealthy friend, they've done studies on this where they have looked at like the power of intention with healers and remote healers. And they did a study with alcoholics. And the study is they had like their friends and family members, but then they had actual healers. And the reason it didn't really work is because there were too many hidden agendas like some family members were so angry at this alcoholic. They were like, I just want this fucker to die, right? Because they would cause me so much pain. And then the drinking buddies were like, I don't want to lose a drinking buddy, so I don't want them to get better, right? Do you know what I mean? There's all sorts of hidden agenda. So you have that stuff. Like, listen, when you're quitting smoking, like they're trying to draw you back in. You're quitting drinking. Sometimes people are jealous and worried because like they want to be doing it too. So they try to drag you down back into your world. And again, you got to just be very careful if you're susceptible and fragile to that. And even if you're not, even if you're someone like you and me, you still might get a hit and a downer from somebody. It's just that we take it and it's like quickly reasoned out and we don't accept it and we move on and it fuels us. And I do like, that's just my tenet is when someone tries to negative naysayer me, right. I'm like, you just lifted me. Like, I will be getting prizes for this.
Right.
And exactly. I want to say, actually, this happened recently, and it really wasn't about excuses, but it's about belief systems. So I do have this belief that when you do something that's pro you, and I don't care what it is, like you leave a marriage, you make one step in the direction towards singing or whatever your dreams are, you will get a prize. This is just my belief. You get a prize. Universe will drop a prize to be like, you're on the right path. Yes. So this happened to me not too long ago. I actually met a guy who was wonderful. He literally was like, I could just check off if I wrote a list, everything. But there wasn't enough chemistry. Just basic chemistry. It's just like the guy was hot. He had a great body. And we'd like to do all the same things. He was evolved. He was amazing. And I just didn't have the chemistry. And I was kind of fighting with it. It was 2 months. And I was like, universe, oh man, you brought me this great guy. He's such a wonderful example. But not feeling the chemistry there. Now, a lot of women would have just been okay with that because he had all of these things. Right. So they would have just settled. Or they would have let it linger longer to it like natural fizzle or let it linger longer because they're like, well, this is fun. He's a nice guy. We can hang out. This it's not the long-term thing. And I was like, well, wait a minute. My goal is to get married. So why would I be dancing around in this kind of BS or a potential F buddy or hangout? Like, I don't want that. Right. And so I was like, I'm just going to break up with him. Like, nice, totally amicable, everything. So I did. Yeah. Now, totally amicable, no drama. Love that. Great. Lovely person. Not shitting you 24 hours. And I told my friends, I go, I'm going to get a prize for that. And some of my girls were like, a lot of girls wouldn't do that. They just would not. Or they'd wait for the guy to break up. Yeah, and I was just like, listen, let's just be confident as fuck. I wrote the book. Might as well just got to do it. I do it. I'm not shitting you. I am not kidding you. That 24, I know I'm going to get a really good prize for this one. I told all my friends. 24 hours later, I get a message from a stranger who's seen my work and was like, hey, what's it going to take for us to fly you to Hawaii to speak to a powerhouse group of 30 women next February? Now, people who are listening and don't know this, I'm obsessed with Hawaii. My family lives there. I've spent months at a time in Hawaii. I hope I end up in Hawaii. I'd like to live 2 to 3 months of the year in Hawaii. It is my favorite thing. Why did that come in? Because that's my belief system, and I went around and declared it, right? My belief system was so strong. I was like, I can't wait for the prize on this. I can't wait for the prize on this. I love this. So again, like, this is the whole topic on belief systems, but again, it's like, that's what I choose to believe. So start to believe that anybody that negative Nancy's you, or if you make a mistake, you end up telling the relative that's never encouraging and they downer you, take that on and go, I'm going to get a prize there. Prizes are coming. I love it. Would you come at me like that and not give me a prize? You're going to get a prize.
Oh, that's such a beautiful mindset. I love that so much. It's so much self-love, self-confidence. And it's like, we all want prizes. I use that in my coaching. We have prizes every month in my coaching group. And we have little calendars where they check off the thing because we still have that little 5-year-old in us where we want our gold sticker and we want a gold sticker every day. And we don't want one purple sticker. Not cool. We want all the gold ones, And so I love it's like inside your building. It's like the more I listen to my intuition and honor myself, I get a prize. And then you find it, the universe manifests it, which of course it will. And that is so beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
What about your kids? What have you noticed? Like, I'm sure, because you're raising children, you've got four of them, and they're being affected by other people, even though I know you're filling their minds with great stuff. What are some excuses you hear, with kids about stuff?
It's interesting. My second oldest, he's 12. He is like this little superstar who has no idea that he is a superstar. Like he doesn't see it in himself, right? So he holds himself to a really high standard. And I mean, I've tried so hard. I'm like, dude, you're doing great. Like no pressure. Like you're rocking it. Like it doesn't matter. You're still in elementary school. But he always thinks that all the other kids are smarter than he is, or better at Chinese. He's in Chinese immersion, or better at Chinese than he is, or, he'll be like the star of the sports team, but he doesn't think he is and doesn't see it, And so for him, like I've really had to have a lot of talks about like, what do you want? All that matters is that you're going after what you want. Like do you want to be a mathematician? Like, do you want to do something that has to do with math? So like, do you really need to be the best kid in math? I'm like, hey, bud, already your scores are above, he just tested for like gifted and talented and he still doesn't see it, and I'm like, do you need to be like, do you need that? Do you need that in your life? Or what do you want? And he's like, oh, I want to build robots. I want to build this. I want to do that. I'm like, okay, cool. So like, just pay attention to the things that will help you do that. Right. And so with my kids, mostly, I want them to have freedom. I want them to be able to breathe. And so sometimes my daughter is like, Mom, we get it. We can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we put our minds to. We don't even know what we want to put our minds to. We're just little kids. Sometimes I get some backlash on that. But I just want them to have room to breathe and do whatever they want, be whatever they want. Like that is freedom is one of my most important values. And so I think for them, like, it's just allowing them this positive space. A lot of times I think they're kind of messing with me a little bit, but they'll say stuff like, I want to be a garbage man or I want to be a construction worker. I'm like, sweet. Cool.
Right. You're like full force. Why not? Like,
yeah, enjoy. That sounds
take out
fun.
The garbage now then. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I don't, necessarily want to give them any adverse fuel for fire where they're like, I have to be a garbage man because my mom said I couldn't. Right. So for my job, it's just a total support. But I think like having that freedom of possibility is so important for all of us to have someone in our life. I bet everyone listening to this has someone in their life that they know no matter what they said, they're like, I'm going to be the next Elon Musk or whatever it is. That person would be like, okay, like cling to those people. Those people are treasures in your life. I have a sister like that. It's like, no matter what I'm doing, she's like, Tara, go, 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 like cling to those people in your life because they are incredibly valuable.
What about I guess so if you're to all the listeners out there, what is one thing in the next couple of months, even if it's a tiny thing? Do you want to become a painter? Go get a little set of paints, watch a YouTube video. I don't care. What is it? Do you want to get fit? Okay, maybe just start with food and you don't even worry about going to the gym right now. Like, what is it? Because this year has already gotten held up a little bit for a lot of people. We have a lot of time now, kind of currently, to be thinking and to be doing the work, right? The work that we do every day, whether it's the gratitude, and this is a perfect time. So there's a lot of complaining about what we're going through in our society right now. And I'm just like, this is an opportunity to be grateful for all of the things, because even if you have lost a job and things are tough, you are still likely at a first-class level of problems in our world overall.
True.
Especially if you're in the States, and if you're not, hey, you can get out of that too.
Right.
But what is it that you want? So it's like people just they go in and out of their day. I know this because I have the friends that are 9 to 5 the job, and they every once in a while have a epiphany where like, I really want something more, and then they go back to the routine, they go back, and then they're back at it, and it comes up every couple of years, and finally like, yo, are you gonna finally do that thing? Like, stop talking about writing that screenplay. Like, shut it. Just do it. So again, got to start somewhere,
Yeah, this brings me into the last thing I wanted to talk about, and that's, action. How do we take action? And I wanted to talk about decision fatigue and streamlining what you want into your life, right? So I have a friend like this, like it's like, I'm going to have all this on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. It's been like, 8, 9 months? I'm like, where are they? Like, what? So The reason we don't do that is because we will procrastinate. I find that we will procrastinate the thing that will turn the needle the most in our lives because it is the most different than what we're currently doing. So if, let's say
Good.
for you, it's you want to write a book, and obviously you can speak on this better than I can, but I'm just using that as an example. These are things that I've done, for courses I've created, products I've created. It's like what I do is I schedule it into my day. If it's not scheduled, when is it going to happen? When you randomly have some spare time that you actually feel like doing this thing that totally overwhelms you and you have no idea where to start and you kind of like are scared you can even do it. If you don't schedule it, it's not going to happen. So for me, I use Brendan Burchard has an amazing planner called the High Performance Planner. I use that every day. I love it. It goes down weekly and daily. So on the daily, as part of my morning routine, it says like, what's one word you want to use to describe yourself today? And what's one phrase that if you were a high performance coach to yourself, what would you tell yourself? And I might say like, done is better than perfect, or, some kind of catchphrase like that I would use in my coaching. Who is one person that needs you on your A game today? What is the most important task for you to accomplish today? And it's like, I got to get those videos done. Right. So then there's a schedule for the whole day, and it's like, all right, let's plan it out. 10 o'clock to 12. That's when I'm doing that. Nothing gets in the way. Phone goes on airplane mode. No one gets me. That is the moment. That is the moment you're making your dreams come true.
Yes.
But it's got to be scheduled in. If we sit there and we try to just become victims of decision fatigue of like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I could record those on this and deliver them on that. Well, just freaking make them. Just make, I always say if it's a business goal that you have, you can't sell a product that you didn't create. You can't build a business if you don't have any freaking products, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's say, I'll use the health industry, for example, for me, that was like as sad as it is, that was a game-changing moment when I realized I have all these people who love me and are following me and they like my free stuff, but they have no opportunity to purchase anything from me besides working with me one-on-one, and not everyone can afford that. So for me, it's schedule into your day when you're going to make that happen. So that's what I did. I hit Starbucks where I couldn't be distracted by anything, and I just sat there for hours and created and created and created, and it had to come down into scheduling in my day. The same thing goes for like eating, for example. Make a freaking plan. Make a freaking plan. It doesn't have to be like robotic. It doesn't mean you have to sit there and meal prep every Sunday and have plastic containers you eat all your fruit in, which I'm not a fan of anyway. But for me, it was every day lunch is a giant veggie egg scramble. I can throw whatever veggies I want. I can throw whatever toppings I want, but it's a giant freaking big enough for a family of 5 egg scramble, which is going to fill me up. It's low in calories, it's high in nutrients, and that really got me to where I wanted to go. Like I remember my ex-husband was like, how many times can you eat that? Like, I don't understand how you can eat that every day. I'm like, because it's getting me what I want. It's working, and it's streamlined and I don't have to think about it. So,
And I also want to touch in there on this. So aside from the scheduling, so for example, I'm a person who I don't like to do things in the afternoon and evening, like when it comes to like pure brain.
Right.
Like I want to hack off and just have fun and just like not do much. So for me, if I know I need to get like a tax form done or like something I
Right.
don't want to do or like the whatever, I know that if it crosses 11 a.m., like I'm better in the morning with that kind of stuff.
That's
So
right.
I know, and then that's where I have to go, okay, that's it. You're going to wake up airplane mode. You're not checking email. You're not checking TV. You're not doing anything. And you're just going to knock it out. And I know
Yep.
that I'm just the most productive on stuff, especially when you don't really want to do it, like getting your
Yep.
taxes together or any of this kind
Yep.
of junk that just kind of sucks. I just will do that. So again, like, you guys know yourself, right? If you know that's a time of day thing, like Mark Sisson, he's better in the afternoon. He loves the late afternoon hours. That's when he's most productive. And he doesn't want to do interviews and all that stuff with the early, like that's him. So like,
Yeah.
you know yourself, what's your best thing, and then you have to just block that out. And I am so glad you mentioned the airplane mode. Now, if you have kids, yes, you might need to silence everybody's text alert except for your kids in case there's an emergency. I get it, but I love that idea, and also love that you went to a Starbucks. To me, they're too distracting for me because I don't like music and sound. I like perfect silence when I'm working. So
Yeah.
what I do is most law libraries at law schools, the most dead silent places you can
Great
find.
idea.
Not
Great
even
idea.
regular libraries, law libraries. And they're usually free. You can walk in and,
Smart.
go anywhere you want. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
now schools are closed, but I would go to Pepperdine Law Library and like lock myself in that sucker and just focus. I got
Smart.
so much stuff done. And also
Smart.
too, I'm the kind of person that likes long focus versus other writers or people that are like, I can write an hour a day and in 3 months I'll have a book. That would be the worst thing for me. I need to have big chunks of
Nice.
focused time because I love that. I just prefer it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got to figure this out for yourself, if
yourself.
you're out there
Yeah.
and know that. But and then make those adjustments to it and stick to it, because I know when I procrastinate is when I let the morning go by and I've got something to
Yep.
do and then I'm like, damn it, I knew I lost my window on that for like my
Exactly.
motivation. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And you have non-negotiables like that. Like for me, my non-negotiable is my workout time. If I
too.
sat there and just like kind of waited to see if it flowed for me to go work out at some time during the day, I would be in the same boat as everybody else who doesn't work out consistently. There's no way. It comes first for me. It's a super important priority for me in my life. It affects my mental health. It affects how I show up every day. It's my one joy. It's social time for me, right? So I am missing that a little bit. I work from home. So when I go to the gym, it's like, yay, I'm out. I'm out in the world. And so it's a non-negotiable for me. Nobody gets that time ever, 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 ever.
I don't
Non-negotiable.
ever make exceptions for it either. I'm the same as you with the morning workout. And so when my automatic calendar is scheduled such that I have time, like
Yep,
you
me
know,
too.
and so I'll
Me
do
too.
podcasting in the afternoon, or I'll do coaching and podcasting in the morning afternoon. But yeah, like certain time, like 9 to 12 or whatever that is. And even today, someone asked me to do a live tomorrow and they're like, hey, what about like 12 Eastern, which is like 10 my time. And I'm like, yeah, that's cutting it too close with the end of my
Yep.
workout. I'm gonna be down at the beach.
That's
You gotta-
right.
And it's just not negotiable for me.
Yep. It's self-love. It's like, that's my time. I'm watching out for me just like I watch out for you. Right. And so I think it's important too. We're both coaches that I'm always like, I cannot ask anyone to do anything that I'm not doing. Or that I haven't done for a long, consistent period of time, right? So for me, it's like, I want to walk the walk. I am going to cut out that time for myself because that is self-love. That is self-love. And if we wait, it brings me back to this topic of decision fatigue, right? Like we can only make so many difficult decisions. So the more that you can eradicate of should I or shouldn't I, the less excuses are going to come in and take over your life. For me, making my bed is a non-negotiable. It's on autopilot. I get out of my bed, it gets made. I don't even have to think about it. It's not like, oh, should I make my bed today? No, I don't. I no longer have to think about it. I'm like a robot first thing in the morning, and it's so helpful, so the more you can eradicate this should I or shouldn't I, the less vulnerable you are to excuses coming in. It's like, nope, my morning routine is a non-negotiable. It is like, make my bed, get clothes on, brush my teeth. Hey, Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes, plop my butt down. I don't have to think about it. I'm done. Siri, just answer me. See, she knows.
Hey girl, I'm not talking to you right now. Yeah.
I love you.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so just, I think eradicating, kind of to recap this whole thing, for me, what has been the most powerful in helping to ward off excuses is one, really checking what my heart wants. Because if you are sitting there like making excuses all the time, like you're trying to lose weight, but you keep eating pizza and brownies all the time, you got to do a heart check. Because I promise you, if you can get a negative pain, if you can have a pain that's so great that you are trying to avoid it, you gotta get into the depths of that. You gotta be like, imagine yourself, maybe you're pre-diabetic. Now I want you to imagine yourself walking around with one leg, or you're in a wheelchair because you lost it and your arm is gone too, and everyone's having to take care of you and you can barely wipe your butt. And I want you, and you're like 500 pounds. I want you to take it as far as it can go. And when you look at that freaking cupcake that somebody brought over and you're eyeballing that thing, I want you to see yourself in that freaking wheelchair, 500 pounds, not being able to wipe your butt. That pain, when you can visualize it and feel it, is gonna be like, nope, no cupcake for me, no thank you. And then when your reward is so, you imagine yourself in Hawaii hiking mountains and you're this super fit person with your spouse and your kids or your new hot lover or whatever it is for you, like just like take it as amazing as you can get it, and you're like a millionaire because you learned all these things about yourself that just developed you, and it's like, take it all the way. So when you look at that cupcake, you're like, which one do I want? right? And so
And
I
you know
think
what? That's
really,
that's a great one because actually that's how self-described from people I know who've been sober for many years. That's how they take it. Someone goes, "Hey, you want a beer?" And if they'll be like, "No, thanks." I'm like, "Oh, why you don't drink or whatever?" And one of their answers, "What? I could have one beer. That's going to lead to this. That's going to lead to that. That's going to be the meth. That'll be on the street. That'll be with the hooker. That like, I mean, they go
right?
down the whole road because they
That's right.
know where that ends for them, and they go
That's right.
down there and go. That's how they make no, not for everybody, but that's how some of them make that decision. So I like that taking it all the way to the end, and that goes for anything that's even simple that's not dire like type 2 diabetes or getting a leg amputated because of that. It's more like how many more years are you going to go by not pursuing what you love? I'm telling you, everyone right now listening, every time I've taken a step forward, it's worked. I know you have too,
Yep.
Tara, since you
Yep.
started and got out of
Yep.
your life that you
Yeah.
were living there. Every time you've taken, and look, have some things not worked out? Not really. Most of them have, or they've
Yeah.
led to something you could not have expected. So it was
That's
okay
right.
that it quote failed because it
That's
was
right.
just a little bit of a leap to or a rung on the ladder that you didn't know, and that's why you got to take the first step. So
That's
we got
right.
to get into our dreams, people. 2020. Do not let some dreams or a goal or getting out of a relationship or whatever it is that you don't like about your life. You got to start doing this work.
That's right. And those excuses come when we lie to ourselves and act like it doesn't matter temporarily to
That's
get out of
right.
the
Good one.
discomfort that we're in, right? So Napoleon Hill talks about how we tend to quit 20% shy of our goal. That has definitely been true for me. I lived it. I am on the other side. I was literally searching YouTube, you should give up on your dreams. I was hoping someone would justify that for me because I was like, maybe this is a bunch of BS. All these motivational speakers, they're just like, don't quit on your dreams. Don't quit. And the only secret is not giving up. And I was like, BS. I was in such a rut. I was like, this is way too hard. Like maybe you should, maybe this is irresponsible, all this dream talk, right? And I couldn't find a single freaking thing. So I was
I
like,
like that
okay,
you were looking
fine.
for it. I like that you were like,
was
oh,
like,
I'm going to find
I want to be
proof.
justified.
Yeah,
I want to be
yeah.
justified in my quitting, And so
You couldn't find
so-
it, could you?
I
Because
could,
no
I
one
could
wrote that.
no, I couldn't find anything. So I kept going and it was on the other side, right at the hardest part. That's when the change is about to happen. So remember that. And then again, self-checking. Is this what I really want? I'm going to use food as an example because it's such an easy one. When you're looking at staring down brownies or, nachos at a party or the chips and sauce on the table, even though you're trying to do keto or whatever, and you're like, freak, I want that thing right now. I want you to ask yourself, is this what I really want? Is that what I really want, or do I just want that right now? Don't let your brain BS yourself, because what we do, the reason we caved all these excuses is because we lie to ourselves in the moment so we can have the thing that we want instead of what we really want long term. So don't
Well
lie
said.
to yourself. Don't trick yourself. Ask yourself, make yourself own up to it. Is this what I really want long term? And answer. And
Yeah,
then the last
and the heart thing you mentioned. Again, this goes for like because I've heard this before from people too. Or like, like a lot of people like. There's a statistic somewhere that says like so many like 80% of the population wishes they could be a writer. Part of that could be like, oh, they think they're living this glamorous life, they can travel to Hawaii and write books, and I mean, like I'm sure that people romanticize it, all right?
Right.
But the thing is like, are you compelled to tell people something? That's really the thing, and that's where the heart comes with something like that.
Yeah.
It's not, do I think that would be a cool job? Could I pull it off? Would I be good at that? That's not what
Yeah.
we're talking about. The reason I'm a writer is because I'm compelled to, because I have
Right.
at some point I was like, I gotta like get X out or whatever it is. You will be compelled to do something. So whatever that is for you, maybe it's like you just want to learn how to fish or play a guitar, man. It doesn't even matter. It can be simple.
Right.
Right. And so,
Yeah,
but,
when it's
but not
bigger
about
than you.
yeah, but not thinking about it like, would this be successful or would I be good at this? Look, I'm be good at a million fucking jobs that I don't want. I would be
Right.
great, and so is everyone else. But I don't want
Right.
I'd be a great teacher. I don't want to be a preschool teacher. I've been one before. I would be great at it. I'm not going to go be
Right.
looking for those jobs right now. It's not in my heart. It's not how I want to spend my time, even though I love the little ones. So again, it's like not what you're good at. Again, following your heart, and
That's right.
how are you compelled? Is this something that you keep thinking about? That's when
Love
you
that.
got to do it.
I love that point, because the truth of the matter is, as sad as it is, we are more likely to be willing to disappoint ourselves than other people. So if you can find your purpose and something that's bigger than you will be in those moments, as sad as it is, we should not want to disappoint ourselves. But I have definitely had that where I'm like, no, I have to show other female fitness entrepreneurs that they can do this, that they can live the life of their dreams, that they can come in this place of wanting to help people and actually live a comfortable life financially and not have to work at a gym from 4 4:30 a.m. to 10 p.m., barely making it, having to get another job. I was like, I want to show other fitness professionals they can freaking do this. I want to show other women that they can change their body and they can be a single mom with 4 kids and they can still have everything they want, and so sometimes
your heart was inspiration. Your heart was towards inspiring others too. That'll lead everybody to success no matter what.
Yeah. Right. So that is a healthy motivation. I think sometimes too is to find that's something that's bigger than you, because when those weak moments come and you might let yourself down, you're like, oh, I can't let them down though. I can't let them down. So that's a great point that you made there. And then again, the last thing is getting systems in your life where you don't have to think about it so hard anymore. Yes. Right. So for, Elle and I, we record at the same time every Friday. It's a system in our life. It's not like, hey, Elle, when do you think we should make that podcast thing happen? Like, let's kind of randomly roll, so that's a very simple example, but streamline it into your life so that your life is now built into systems that get you what you really want.
That's great. Nothing needs to be said more about that, even though we could talk about it all day. But I hope you guys are encouraged by this. And again, please subscribe, share, all of that stuff. Give us your comments. DM us on Instagram, yes. Coach Tara Garrison or Elle Russ. Tell us if you want us to cover a topic. We'd love to hear from you. And again, we'll be offering a lot more things as we roll this year on the Kick-Ass Life podcast.
Right on. Thanks, Elle.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye.